This week on That's How I Roll, my head is about to explode. Also, we're going to talk about the emotions tied up with gameplay, and we're going to take a look at all the expansions to Valeria Card Kingdoms. Plus, I've got some news on the contest. Well, all that and more just coming at you right now. Here we go.
Buckle up. It's time for That's How I Roll with Jeremiah Isley, a podcast about the games we play and the lives we live. That's How I Roll is presented by Theology of Games. Visit theologyofgames.com for the latest in tabletop gaming, news, reviews, and interviews. And now, here's Jeremiah.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. Okay. Hey everyone. I'm Jeremiah. I'm not the reincarnate Barry White or the trailer guy in a world where a guy gets sick and tries to do a podcast. Hey, welcome to That's How I Roll, episode 111. You'll have to excuse me because I'll be drinking a lot of tea today, although I'll try to edit all that out. But it's been... I don't actually feel terribly bad, but it's just been one of those days where, I guess, one of those weeks where everything just goes haywire and my head feels like it's going to explode and lots of congestion and drainage and I don't know. Anyway, enough of me complaining about being sick. You have to listen to my voice so you know what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a couple things to tell you on our rundown here as we get ready to jump into the show. So let me do some housekeeping and we'll get on with things. Probably going to be, hopefully it'll be a little shorter of a show. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're going to take a look on the word on the street. I had a cool experience at the theater this week. My wife and I got away to see a show, so we'll talk about that, and oddly enough, it'll kind of tie into gaming, and that's what we try to do here. We talk about the lives we live and the games we play, or is it the games we play and the lives we live? Anyway, so we're going to do that. I'm also going to give you a review of, I say all of the Valeria Card Kingdom expansions, but it's not true because I don't have all of them. I have a lot of them, and spoiler alert, they're all really cool. They're what I look for in an expansion. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're going to look at that. Before I go any further, though, don't forget, we've got the Tiny Epic contest happening right now. You can go to theologyofgames.com. Click the enter the contest button where you'll be whisked away to a page that has the entry form and it'll tell you how you can enter the game, enter the contest. There's lots of ways to do it. You can just tweet things about our shows. You can follow us on all the socials. You can sign up for our email list. The list goes on and on. It's all right there. Very easy to do, and there are ways that you can enter daily. So get in on that. Enter early, enter often. The deadline's coming up here in a couple weeks. We'll be picking a winner, and you can win all of the Tiny Epic games in their deluxe format. That's Kingdoms and Galaxies and the expansions to those, and Western and Quest and Zombies, all of those Tiny Epics, plus the game haul bag that holds them all. It's like a $300 prize, courtesy of our good friends at Gamelin Games. Shout out to them. Go check out, they just launched this week on Kickstarter, Tiny Epic Tactics, which I don't know how they do it. They just keep coming up with new cool ways to make these tiny games in these small boxes. So kudos to them. Kudos to Scott Alms. Go check that out. If you like the Tiny Epic games, I'm sure you know about it already, but it's definitely worth looking at. It looks really, really cool. Okay, not only that, I must remind you of a few other things. Our Patreon page still up, still happening. You can still get cool rewards and bonus content happening there. There's only a few folks on it, so you can be one of the very, very treasured few that support us in that way. So go to theologyofgames.com/Patreon. You can go there. There's a link to the Patreon page. You can check all of that stuff out. And don't forget also, there's another contest coming soon. Did I say that? Oh, yeah. So before this contest is even done, I'm announcing another contest. It'll be right around the time that the Tiny Epic contest ends. We'll be giving away a copy of Space Park, which made my top 10 of 2018. So that game will be given away to one lucky winner, and it's going to be an easy contest. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce more details coming up soon. And what else? Oh, last but not least, don't forget the hotline. You can call in and be a part of the show, 216-352-3864. Would love to have your questions, your comments, your responses to the topics I talk about on the show week to week. Don't forget to do that if you are so inclined, or you can just email us, theologyofgames@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to get on the word on the street. So here's the word on the street. What a weekend. So first of all, kind of started feeling a little crummy over the weekend. Obviously, you can tell I'm still feeling the effects of that. But the cool thing is, my wife had a nice long weekend too. She had 3 days off. Our kids had at least 3 or 4 days off. And we had some really free time. Like, I didn't have a show going on, so I wasn't pulled away over the weekend. It's kind of that time of year where I have a lull, so I work on things at home. I work on podcasts. I work with my clients. It's just a really nice, it's a busy time in a different way, but there's not a lot of running around and going from place to place to place. And my wife and I have tickets to, we buy season tickets for Playhouse Square. It's up in Cleveland. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Cleveland has the largest theater district in the country outside of New York, outside of Broadway. So there's a great theater scene up in Cleveland. There's about 3 or 4 really big houses that bring in touring Broadway shows. So a bunch of other smaller theaters that there's, theater companies up there that come in and do shows. There's dance companies that use those spaces. Really cool happening theater scene up in Cleveland. So we have our season tickets for all the Broadway shows. We go and we see Miss Saigon. Now, honestly, I'd never seen Miss Saigon before. It's a very popular show. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's been around for a long time. About Vietnam, the war, and these relationships, these sordid relationships between soldiers and the native women and girls that lived in Saigon and in other places in the country. And I guess I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's not a happy show. It is dark, heavy material. It deals with sex trafficking. It deals with the war and the fallout of that, and these kids that are born out of these relationships that their American fathers are shipped back home, and they don't. I mean, it is a severely heavy show. Even like the comic relief number of the second act is about a guy whose dream is to open a strip club in America. It's a very heavy show, and it ends in a very depressing way with suicide, and so the curtain comes down, and my wife's crying. We're just sitting there devastated. We're like, oh my gosh, what a hard show to watch. And I got to thinking about that. Like, there are some shows you just leave, you're laughing the whole time. It's a fun show. It's great. It's, entertaining from top to bottom, really fun time. And then there are shows like this. I think it's a very important show. I think it really kind of highlights some of the things that were going on. The fact that there are these people that are my age, actually, like born in the 70s, who never knew their father, who were orphaned by U.S. military, and, their mothers of very meager means trying to raise them. there are people out there that this show depicted very raw, that are my age. And so it was just kind of mind-blowing. So it's an important show to see. It's an important thing to recognize about our world and the people that live in it. But it wasn't fun. You know, it wasn't like something that I'm like, I mean, my wife and I both were just like, it's probably okay if we never see that again, right? Like, we don't have to go search out and see this show again. And it got me thinking, you know, theater is something I love, right? And I live in it, I work in it. It's a big part of my life. But there are things about it that are uncomfortable. There are things about it that aren't pleasant. There are stories that are told that aren't, you know, just happy and fun and make you feel good. And I look at another part of my life that is a huge part of my life, and it's gaming, right? That's why I'm doing this podcast. I love games. I love gaming. It's part of my life. It's something I do that's fun. And I'm trying to think, is there something about gaming that is uncomfortable for me? Is there something that makes me think about things that are hard to think about, or ponder those things, or consider those things? Or are there situations in gaming that really make me uncomfortable, you know, just with the people that are at the table or whatever it is? And I don't know that I have an answer for that. I don't know that I do. I know there are people who have dealt with, you know, very bad male behavior towards women in the gaming industry or at a gaming table. I haven't seen that myself. The people that I hang out with don't behave that way. But I know I've talked with women that have been treated very poorly, and things like that. So I don't know that it would turn me off to gaming. You know, if like there were things about it that made me wrestle with concepts and ideas and you know, things that are happening in the world around us. I mean, I guess, you know, more recently I reviewed Freedom, the Underground Railroad, and that definitely was uncomfortable subject matter, right? It was wrapped in a great game. We played it. We've played it a few times since I've reviewed it, even more. And it's a great game, but it makes you think about something that wasn't fun in our history, right? It's a dark time. It's an important time to realize, though. So anyway, I'm digressing, but I want to put that question out there. Is there something about gaming? You know, gaming is something we all love. Is there something about it, though, that makes you uncomfortable, that makes you think and consider bigger things outside of just playing games and having fun? Or is gaming truly your ultimate escape? Is it something you walk into and leave everything else behind, and you don't want to play a game that's going to make you think about the troubles in the world or in life or, you know, XYZ? So there it is. That's this week's Word on the Street. I got to the theater. I played some games. I got destroyed by a show that really made me uncomfortable and, you know, saddened, and it was just hard to watch. And I'm bringing all that joy of my weekend to you, but I'm going to move on from it, and we're going to take a look at Valeria Card Kingdoms and all the expansions.
You know, Percival, I look upon my kingdom and I think to myself, how glorious, how wonderful, how practically perfect in every way. I couldn't imagine changing one small little bit about it. Valeria, what a land, what a place, what a time to be alive. I say, what do you see over on the horizon there?
Yes, Your Majesty, those are travelers. They're moving in. Yes, and things have happened lately, like events. There's events taking place in the land, yes.
Wait, things are happening? Things like...
Oh, and look, there's the King's Guard.
I don't have guards, there's king's guards?
Your guard, yes.
I don't know about all this. What is that? Oh my goodness!
It would seem those would be, how do you say, undead samurai?
Oh my goodness, we'll have to do something about those right away. And who are those folks over there?
Well, it would seem that we have new peasants in the land.
New peasants? Whatever happened to that one chap? Oh, what was his name?
That was Gary, sire.
Yes, Gary. Oh, Gary. Whatever happened to him?
Well, he died of the Black Plague.
Oh, that's just like Gary. Oh, remember how he used to limp around on that lame foot of his?
Yes, sire.
Percival, I'm afraid to even ask this, but look on the horizon and there's a whole mass of people and creatures storming this way. Oh, it's like white and red out there. It's as if some of them are on fire and others are a bit frosty. What is going on?
Yes, that's another kingdom coming to move in. Oh look, there's the Bogatyr.
Who even knows what a Bogatyr is? What is that all about? It seems the kingdom has expanded and we have some exploring to do, don't we, Percival? We have to figure out what's going on with all of these new people and creatures and... Oh dear, this sounds tiresome.
Yes, well, it could be exciting, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, exciting. That's what I meant. Very exciting indeed.
All right, so there's a little look into the expanding realm of the card kingdoms of Valeria. So it turns out, I knew this game was going to be expanded, right? Because if you open up the box, there's this really nicely done insert, and it has a huge slot in it for more and more cards to be placed into it. And all the cards had dividers. So you know, like, this is going to be a game that's going to be expanded. And I was not sure how they were going to do it, because if you look at other deck builder type games or card games or things that are just kind of based on cards, like Dominion just sells you another giant box, and here you go. Here's a giant box with a bunch of cards in it. And, you know, that's kind of how it goes with a lot of games. But this one, what they've done is actually, instead of selling huge boxes to you, there's just little add-ons, right? There's the King's Guard, which gives you some events, and one of those events can bring out the King's Guard, and the King's Guard goes in one of your exhausted stacks. And then there's one that just gives you new peasants and new knights, and there's one that gives you agents, and there are these little foil pack expansions that just bring one little wrinkle into the game, instead of here's a giant expansion and it changes how the game plays entirely, right? So it's so I really like that about it. And then you come to Frost and Flames. Is it Frost and Flames or Flames and Frost? We'll just say Frost and Flames. Which is not in a foil pack, but it's not a giant box either. It's like, for lack of a better term, it's like a tiny Epic Kingdoms box, right? It's like that size. So I was like, okay, cool. There's going to be a little bit more to this expansion. All of the previous expansions, there's like 5 of them that have come out up until that point, are these great little add-ons that you can swap out, or there's new events that have been added, or just, like I said, little wrinkles into how the game plays to really kind of give you more replayability and add to this already great game. I love Valeria Card Kingdoms. I probably won't say that enough. I'll say it a lot, but it won't be enough. This is a really good game with just the base game. But here we are. We've got 5 new expansions. We've got new monsters with the Undead Samurai. We've got the King's Guard. We've got new knights. We've got agents. All these things are going on, right? And then Frost and Flames comes in this bigger box. And I'm like, well, I wonder what they're going to add with this one that's going to be, just a different wrinkle or whatever. And I open it up, and here is, excluding 5 and 6, which is the peasants and the knights, which are kind of your starting cards. Excluding those, it is an entirely new set of citizen cards, 1 through 12, a whole new set of those, 5 new stacks of monsters, new monsters from 1 to 5. You can have a whole new set of monsters that are in this Frost and Flames theme, right? That's lava people and ice monsters and all this cool stuff. And a whole new pile of domains that you deal out. It's like getting a whole new Valeria game. Oh, it's so good. It's so great. And then, of course, there's all the combinations there. Like there are countless ways to set up Valeria card kingdoms. It's so great. I am so excited for this. There's another one. I should have looked this up, but I know there's at least 1 or 2 of the small like foil pack expansions that have come out since then. And there's Shadow Veil, which appears to be another full set of cards like Frost and Flames was. So cool. What words can I say? What do you want me to say as a listener that would convince you that you need to have a copy of Valeria Card Kingdoms and go get all of the expansions? Just go get them. They all add fun little things to the gameplay. They are so good. They're so great. I know I say this a lot, but I cannot recommend them enough. Get the expansions. If you don't have the base game, what on earth are you doing? If you don't know how the base game plays, go back a few episodes, scroll down on iTunes or wherever you're listening. I've reviewed it before. It'll tell you how the game plays. It's the Machi Kuro killer. It's engine building. It's dice rolling. It's card selecting. It is so good. And they're not even paying me to say this or anything. Check it out. Valeria Card Kingdoms and all the expansions. You heard it here. You can trust me. You want them in your collection. Go get them. And they all fit in the box. They're all in one box. I've got them all there so I can just pull them all out and play them. It's awesome. Good stuff. Well, there it is. That is going to do it for yet another episode of That's How I Roll. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for coming along and dealing with my raspy radio voice. Really appreciate that. It's been an interesting and rough week just trying to get through some work and get things done that need to be gotten done. It's the cold syrup, folks. I just blame that. The cough syrup. There's no such thing as cold syrup. Okay, so want to thank you again. Want to thank Daily Magic Games. They sent us a pile of expansions to take a look at, and we finally got around to doing that. Kudos on them. Listen, Valeria Card Kingdoms is one of my favorite games to come out in the last few years. It's really, really good, and those expansions really ratchet things up. So there's that. Thanks to, again, Galen Games. Don't forget our contest. Go to theologyofgames.com, where you can enter to win $300 worth of Tiny Epic awesomeness. Really appreciate them chipping in on that. Check out their Tiny Epic Tactics Kickstarter, which is happening right now. There's a good 30 days left on that, or maybe a little less by now, depending on when you're listening, because, time doesn't matter when it's a podcast. All right. I think that's all I've got. Come back next week. Hopefully my voice will come come back to me. I've got some tasty minstrel games I'm dying to get on the table and get reviewed, including Gugong and Crusaders. And there's another one that is on its way to me in the mail, too. So we'll be taking a look, hopefully, at those as time moves on. And who knows what else. But until then, if you don't like my voice, too bad, because I'm Jeremiah Isley, and that's how I roll.
Thanks for rolling with us today. That's How I Roll is produced by Jeremiah Isley and brought to you by Theology of Games. If you liked what you heard today, take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in, and drive safe.